Meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the statement?
This is the meeting of the Township Council for Monday, August 14th, 2017. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 5th, 2017, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Roll call.
Councilmember Kadis.
Here.
Councilmember Ooms.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel. Absent. Council President Murphy.
Here. Please rise to salute the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we have a presentation from the Greenway Action Advisory Committee. Would Mike Fury and members of the Greenway Committee please come forward? And while they're coming forward, what I'd like to mention is that the mayor requested that the ordinance 1714 be removed from the agenda, and I did call our attorney, and he just said it just needed to be removed. So it will not be on the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. While I'm getting set up, I want to introduce myself. My name is Mike Fury. I'm the current chairperson for the Greenway Action Advisory Committee, and we're asked to come here tonight to give a short presentation of some of the things that we've been working on over the last year and a half. I want to thank the council for inviting us out. Again, my name is Mike Fury. I'm the chair of the committee, and these are the current members.
Do you want the lights dimmed?
I can dim them all the way back there.
They're
The current members, Mike Fury, I'm the chair. I'm not sure if you're here today, I want to recognize you. If you're here, Craig Williams, Dave Calabrese, Paul Carney, Joe Ast, Sherry Shortway, Tony Chili, John Allberger, Mike Chesky, and almost every meeting the Mayor Harry Shortway attends. That's the 2,000 membership. It's a good committee. We're very active. One of the things what we're all about is the Sustainable New Jersey. It's a certification program for municipalities. We go green, save money, take steps to sustain the quality of life over the long term. To date, there's about 430 towns registered in New Jersey. 191 are certified in New Jersey. Vernon received bronze certification last year. We're renewing that certification. We're working on that now. And we have plans to get what we call silver certification. So it's a series of points that we gain from sustainable items that the township is involved with. I am also a member of a state-run NJDEP and Sustainable New Jersey team called the Gold Team, and that's establishing new criteria for a gold certification. And it's all centered around water and wastewater. That's ongoing. That's going to be out probably beginning next year, and that's going to allow municipalities to go for a gold certification. I'm certified to go for. Vernon Community is all about sustainability. This whole idea about sustainability was the vision of Mayor Shortway. He was pretty adamant during his campaign about how important is this for the township, and we want to thank him for giving us that opportunity to do these good things. What is the Greenway Action Advisory Committee? What we originally established in 2016. We basically have 4 different subcommittees that work kind of together. Everybody on the committee has their level of expertise where they add all their expertise. We have a trail system, which is the main part of the Greenway Committee. It's all about open space. We look at parcels of open space. I'll get into more detail later on. We have a water and wastewater supply subcommittee that looks at different issues that surround water or wastewater. One of the big grant applications and funding, trying to get the money in order to fund some of the projects that we want to look into. And we also have an aspect of a business development and economic plan that we hopefully ties it all together. Again, this is all why to do this is to fill the elements of the master plan. They're all kind of connected. It's all about sustainability. This is our mission statement. The GAC, like we like to call ourselves, was formed to promote and develop environmentally responsible amenities such as a trail system, parks, and gardens. The purpose is to enhance the quality of life for residents and visitors and establish entrepreneurship leading to community sustainability. We're willing to review and advise about any environmental or economic issue that impacts the township. So that's our main focus. There's a lot to say there, but it is centered around a greenway. And there's been a lot of questions about what a greenway is. A greenway is a series of trails, a system that connects all the different parts of the township, whether it's a park connecting to a business connecting to the park. It's a series of greenways and trails that are linked together for all different types of purposes. Right? It's a community based on Vernon's community based on small business and outdoor recreation. This is what we're known for. We have farmers markets, tourism, recreation. This is an important feature of the township. And then, of course, we have our town center, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to connect all these things together and make sense of what we have in the township. This is what we've been really most active with over the last year, the trail system open space. Number one, complete the Greenway Trail system. Just recently, we had 3 Build a Trail days. We had 3 separate days where the first day we had over 50 volunteers that came out and helped clear a trail located near on Sand Hill Road, what we call the GAC Sand Hill Black Creek Trail. It's about 1.5 miles in length, and it was hard work. It was a lot of work. It took us 3 long days of volunteers. What was great about what we did is we had volunteer landscape company, Countryside Landscaping. They came out and volunteered all 3 days. We had Suez Water donate bottles of water for all the volunteers. We had some of the new businesses, the place by the tracks, and the new coffee place over on 515. They donated cups of coffee. They donated iced tea. It was good for. It was all bringing all these businesses together. So we've recently completed that trail. I'm going to show you some pictures later on. The next big trail system that we're looking at is we're planning a PAL path with what we hope to be some kind of amphitheater, trying to connect it all. This is located from the PAL building up through the municipal building, all the way down across, down by the solar panels, and then hopefully connecting eventually down by Mountain Creek. It's more along what we call the Route 94 corridor. That's one of the next plans that we have where we want to start clearing out. We looked into the connection at Masker Marsh. That's ongoing. We're still pursuing that, and that's hopefully going to connect the Canal Road and the park, Maple Grange Park. That's a key connection that we're going to try to, and then we're going to incorporate possibly once we purchase the property, where we may plant some trees and build a path to connect a bike path to the Maple Grange Park. It's all about promoting passive recreation, and we're exploring open space purchases through easements in order to connect the dots. It's all about connecting the dots. We have a map up there for anybody who wants to see the idea of the Greenway. It's approximately 20 miles throughout Vernon. Some of it's already established. Some of it have to be connected. So that's the trail system for what we're working on now. Here's some of the pictures of the Build a Trail Day. We had a lot of volunteers out there. And this is one of the trails down, located by the Lutheran Church down on the base of that of the valley, where there's a lot of wetlands and a lot of really beautiful area. Oops, sorry. This is another picture. Once you get down, located there, this is what we see in the flat areas. It's pretty stunning views. There's a lot of wildlife. There's extraordinary amount of wildlife, and it's a pretty nice area.
Mike, somehow the lights got turned back on. Maybe hit them again.
Turn the lights off again. This is just a picture of the. This is the land that was purchased. I'm not sure the year it was, but it was purchased by the Sussex County Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund. It probably was over 10 years ago. And we were pretty happy that we finally did something with this property. We have a little bit more to do, but this is a beautiful area. It's like I say, it's about 1.5 acres. We really encourage everybody who likes hiking and get out there and use the trail. We do need it to get used, so we can provide that maintenance. Here's some other pictures of volunteers. I showed this because it was hard work. There's somebody cutting with a chainsaw. There's people. It was tough work. It was grueling. It was a lot. It was a real big challenge. But without these volunteers, we would never have gotten it done. On the trail, I had this nice picture of a bear. This is what we came across while we were out on the trail. I think it was the third day of our build the trail. I'm laughing because this ended our day. Once we saw that large bear, we said this is probably enough for us. This is one of the big items that we accomplished. Is we constructed a recreational path map. This was assisted with the Land Conservancy, who was our open space consultants. They consulted on a lot of the purchases. One of the things that we asked them to do is to complete a trail map to look at. If you look at the red, it comes up pretty bright. Everything in red is where we want to plan a new trail. There's existing trails which are in yellow, but the ones in red, and you can see it connects on one along 94 and along Sand Hill, and it finally connects down towards Mountain Creek. So that was done by the Land Conservancy, and those maps gives us a kind of a big vision of where we're looking to put the trails. It's all about passive recreation. It's not just about biking paths, it's walking paths, it's hiking paths, it's about disc golf, it's handicap accessible. We're looking into possibly getting grants and getting funding to help assist with the building of the trail, and then adding possibly an amphitheater. So trying to connect the amphitheater, the trails with the town center. This is the big picture what we're trying to accomplish. One of the other subcommittees, water and wastewater supply. The water supply, we helped with working on getting water supply to the town center, this municipal building. This is an ongoing project, working towards economic growth for new and existing businesses. Beyond that, we're looking for water supplies within the town center, looking at ways to do that and how to really get the right people together to make that happen. We looked at wastewater management plans, impact of the MUA and sewer service areas, how that all connects. And then finally, one of the big accomplishments of the committee was to seek out. We sought out from the Highlands Council an $80,000 grant to a water study to determine water availability. So what does that mean? It's like this is looking at the amount of water that's in our aquifers, which is plentiful. Hopefully this consultant will evaluate all the water supplies, what goes in, what comes out, and then gives us some information on how much water availability we have for future economic development. This was all funded at no cost to the township. It was funded by the Highlands Council. There was a lot of money available for engineering, for oversight. So this is ongoing. I believe we're probably maybe close to completing it. 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to complete that, and then that will be made available to the town council, and you could read it and see where we're at in terms of the water supply. One of the big things we did was grant application funding. This was a common problem that we came across. We need funding to make this happen. We really haven't. We received a $2,000 grant from Sustainable New Jersey, and we're looking to use that to help clear the next set of paths. We also have we looked at different open space consultants. I know the last council meeting you had Greener by Design come in and did a presentation. They're a similar type company that does open space consulting, grant writing, things like that. And their big role is to leverage our open space fund to get additional funding. That's one of the key parts of what they do. And we have to look at the areas that we need to purchase or to connect those dots. Another part of what we're working on, and this is more recently, is the tree grant. We just recently completed with the assistance of a professional forester, a request for proposal that was put out about 3 weeks ago. And in order to plan the next phase of the no net loss tree grant, and we're hoping to do some planting in the fall. Late September, maybe October. We're hoping to get that done. That was an ongoing activity. I want to thank John Allberger. He was pretty key. Mike Chesky. They both worked hard on working with Ron Farr, the professional forester, to get that moving. So that was through the grant from the state. So that's ongoing. Business development. We're working with the Economic Development Committee to work on a Green Fair Expo, and it's planned for September 9th, 2017. They did most of the work, but we're trying to offer them some assistance in terms of what we can do to help with that. More recently, we completed a Greenway survey, and if you look at the presentations, I included the results of that survey. I'm not going to show it because it's very difficult to see on the screen, but we received over 200 responses. We've only had the survey on Facebook for about less than a week. We got about 200 responses. Actually, no, maybe I will show it. Sure, you'll see that. These are some of the questions that we had. How long have you resided? Do you believe that a greenway could be an economic driver? 72% said yes. 23% said no. Number 3, the question, which best describes your living situation? Family with children. Overwhelmingly, that was the response. Which of the following recreational activity does your household presently do in Vernon? Walking, jogging was number 1. Hiking was followed up, and then biking, and then had some others. Would you support this extension of a trail? And I think this was a key question. We wanted to know what people thought about extending that trail. And overwhelmingly, 77%, 78% said yes. We had some various comments you could see that they put in there. We asked for people's feedback. Which direction would you want the trail to go? From the PAO to Black Creek, from the boardwalk on Black Creek. Overwhelmingly, they said most 84% said both ways. So we interpret that as they want to go both ways. How satisfied with the number of recreational facilities and organized sports? About 67% said satisfied. 30, I guess 60% not satisfied was about 70%. Question number 8, how satisfied with the number of Vernon facilities for passive recreation? This was interesting. It's hard to interpret this. Not satisfied or satisfied. So it's kind of split right down the middle, about 50-50. Would you volunteer to time towards building up maintenance of the trails? Because we do need volunteers. This is a lot of hard work. We had 50 volunteers. We were all out there. Mayor Short was out there. Gene Murphy was out there. It was not easy. It was hard work. It was grueling. And it was about half said yes, half said no. So that was all the questions. And I think the key question was about the economic driver. You know, do you consider it an economic driver? And overwhelmingly, it seemed to think that people supported that. So that was our Greenway survey. We just recently completed that. That is on our Vernon Friends of the Greenway Facebook site. If you want to participate, you can. Hopefully we can get it on the township website eventually. So we do want people's feedback on what they think. We want to know if we're doing a good thing or not. Really, overall, what we're trying to do is attract new business with the Greenway. If we have a Greenway, it's a support system, we can hopefully attract some more business. We're seeking corporate sponsorship. This has been an idea floated around by a lot of the members. Having people donate money for parts of the trail, as a memorial, whatever they want to do, park bench, whatever kind of thing they would like to do. If they're interested in that, you can get in contact with me. We just recently received a $500 donation from the Addison Partners, which we're really happy about that, and we're looking to do more of that type of partnership with corporate sponsorships. I give John Allberger the credit for this because he said this and it made a lot of sense. We really felt that we needed a sense of community, and really this is a picture that I think that this is the first day we did the Pilgrim Trail Day. One of the things that we had during this day, you can see all the Girl Scouts. They hung a lot of birdhouses. They took that opportunity to build about 20 birdhouses and hang those. We built that trail for them. They're really excited about doing that. But it is about sense of community, and this was not all the volunteers, but this was most of them at the end of that first day. And really, this is what we think is what all about, is bringing that community together and really enjoying the trails that we built. I want to thank you for your input. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, all the meetings that we have, our upcoming meetings, what we're working on, if you want to volunteer and help us out, you can go to the Facebook site and just type in the Friends of the Vernon Greenway, and then you'll get all the pictures there. You get all the things that we're working on and some of the activities that we're really focused on for this year and hopefully into next year. So I want to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to do the presentation, and I'll open up to any questions that anybody has. Anybody have any questions?
The forester, where's he at as far as with the tree planting?
What we're at, we put the RFP out. We received proposals. I think it was 3 proposals. I'm assuming, right, we're going to send that out again.
Yep, you want to address that?
We may.
We're going to have to redo.
Get to redo it, and then hopefully turn that around, get that information back from the prospective bidders, and then hopefully for a fall planting. We're pushing hard to do September, late September, early October planting. And it's a pretty significant amount of trees. All the areas that have been identified are all the schools, the dog park,
Maple Grange.
Maple Grange. Yeah, a lot of trees are at Maple Grange. So that's the targeted areas. So it's a pretty significant amount of trees.
On your survey, what was your total number of respondents?
We had, as of today, we had 200.
200.
Over 200.
So you're going to extrapolate a position based upon 200 respondents with a township of 23,000 people, 10,000 residences?
Well, it's only been out for a week. The survey started last week. We hope to get more, obviously.
Well, I don't think you're going to get anything near what you need to get a trend unless you go beyond social media.
Right, well, one of the things we're going to try to do is put this on the township website and get more response. This is one of the reasons why we came here today. We wanted to, get the word out that we do have this survey. We want to get people's input. And I understand. I do understand what you're saying. You want to get a good idea of where people are at. So, I mean, so far we have this information. We're nowhere near able to, come to a conclusion based on what we have so far. But it is a start. Any other questions? Everybody understands what a greenway is now? Mm-hmm. I hope. Because that's one of the things that we tried to get across. We wanted to get that across of what exactly it is. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just to let you know, we have the map over here. If anybody wants to see after the meeting, they can just view what it's all about.
Oh, yes. One other thing.
Oh, yes, yes.
What is your projected cost on this?
Projected cost?
Yeah.
Projected cost for construction of the trail, I believe it's about $4,000 per mile.
And how many miles?
It's approximately 19 miles, 19 to 20 miles.
So,
That's the approximate cost. That's the construction cost. The trail that we built over at the Black Creek is not going to be constructed with any kind of material. It's going to be left in its natural.
and maintenance,
The maintenance is going to be done ongoing with this group.
how much would that cost?
It's not going to cost anything because it's all volunteers. That's why we're encouraging volunteerism.
My experience with volunteers is, it's nice when they come, but people's lives have a way of interfering with volunteers' efforts.
I agree.
Those volunteers eventually become some type of paid aid, and then they become major employees. So, I question, putting together a program based upon only volunteer support and being able to sustain this type of an effort with just volunteer support. And you're talking $4,000 a mile on a 20-mile project?
Approximately.
Approximately. And what other kinds of items are you going to be putting in there?
Well, one of the areas we're going to be using the tree grant to line the path with trees, which we already have. And a lot of the other funding is going to be, we're going to pursue through grant programs, DOT grant programs, whatever, AEP grant programs. I mean, it's amazing how many grant programs that are out there to support this type of activity.
And Mr. Rizzuto, I sent you all the studies I did. It's on one of the emails of cost per mile, just so you know, because there's so many different ways. Are we going to do asphalt? Are we going to do wood chips? Are we going to stay grass? And then I gave you some maintenance costs based on the other parks throughout the country, including in this area.
You haven't come up with what you want to do.
Well, when
you
we get
haven't come up with a total cost.
When we get an engineer, money for an engineer, the engineer will figure it all out for us. But right now, we don't have the money to hire the engineer to do it. So we have to study what other communities have done, other counties have done, and that's what we're looking at. One of the things we want to do right here is build the amphitheater. And I gave you the two costs from Hawthorne, and I forget the other cost. One was $268, and one was about $185, $185,000. So we estimated at $200,000.
In the Hawthorne situation, I was there when we got the $2,000 grant. They got a $20,000 grant from the state of New Jersey. Well, one of the things I didn't mention is we put in for a grant through the state of New Jersey. It was over 2,000 entries, and we got to the top 10. We were in the top 10. We almost received a $20,000 grant. So we are pursuing these grants. We're looking to do it through grants and that type of funding rather than from taxpayers' money. And we understand that. We're very aware of that. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Is Jane Damstra in the audience? Jane, would you please step up? Councilmember Kadish has a proclamation, so you're going down there?
Oh, okay.
Do you have a proclamation?
The proclamation is for the Senior Center 25th anniversary. In case you want to see it, the font is really large. You think they're telling us something? Proclamation. Whereas Vernon Township Senior Center will be celebrating its 25th anniversary in August 2017, and whereas the Vernon Township Senior Center has served as a focal point for the coordination of myriad of services and activities for older adults since 1992, and whereas the Township of Vernon recognizes the contributions of senior citizens to our community and the important role they serve in our society, whereas Vernon Township senior citizens have earned the respect and admiration of our citizens because of their knowledge, their dignity, and their zest for life, and whereas the Township of Vernon is proud of our seniors as they are the guardians of wisdom and experience, now therefore, Harry Shortway, the Mayor, Gene Murphy, Council President, and the Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby and recognize and celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Vernon Township Senior Center.
Next, we have public comments. May I have a motion to open the floor to public?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the council?
Sally Rinker Vernon. Interestingly, our EMS are here tonight, and the ordinance gets withdrawn again. Kind of a backwards way of doing business around here. I want to address Ordinance 17-14 nevertheless. It's an ordinance to establish the Division of Emergency Services, otherwise known as Paid Ambulance Emergency Services. Discussion by council members, especially Ms. Ohms, revealed there were too many discrepancies and unanswered questions at the July 10 Town Council meeting. At the July 24th Council meeting, the ordinance was put on the agenda for first vote by the Council President. Again, it became apparent that there were unanswered questions, missing information, and a motion was made to withdraw it. Thankfully, the attorney agreed and said it would be a cleaner thing to do to withdraw it that night. Here we are just 2 weeks later, and it was on the agenda up until a few moments ago. This is a very complex issue that deserves all the input and deliberation required for a good outcome. Why weren't the emergency service volunteers invited to be included at the public meeting? They are the experts. They are the ones who do this work, and their opinions matter. Why didn't the council president call for workshops on this issue so the volunteers and the public could offer input? The public, those most impacted by this ordinance, are confused and frightened. You have a responsibility to hold a forum for their questions. I'm not sure this move towards paid services is the right one without hearing from all involved. I don't want you to do this because you think you are creating a revenue stream, which I believe will not work. We need several workshops on this issue. I want to hear from our EMS volunteers. Maybe this ordinance is not the best solution. I was going to urge the council to again withdraw it tonight before it was withdrawn. This ordinance is premature and unvetted. I want us to move towards scheduling workshops to include the EMS, the public, St. Clair's, and any other involved entity that will bring a satisfactory solution for Vernon's needs. I could repeat my pleas for the addressing of Resolution 17-163, authorizing a ballot question expanding the original uses of our open space money from acquisition of open space and farmland preservation to include development and maintenance of land for recreation. If we do this, everything you just saw on that GAC presentation, as far as I'm concerned, will not get done. Honestly, I'm pretty flabbergasted that the council president placed this on the agenda also without workshops, no informational forum for the public of whose money it is. This overzealous, overaggressive attempt to affect our $800,000 plus fund balance embedded in a resolution in the consent agenda is underhanded. Where are the workshops or public inclusion? I opposed this move by the mayor when he sat on the council in 2010, and I oppose it now. You've used open space funds and accomplished nothing so far. I'm asking this council to pull this out of the consent agenda tonight and vote no. Lastly, I'd like to speak to Resolution 17-165, the interlocal service agreement between Vernon's Municipal Utility Authority and Vernon's Department of Public Works. Again, this should be voted on separately. Please remove it from the consent agenda. We, the public, are not privy to the terms in the contract, but I will say this. I have been watching and listening to the shenanigans going on with this contract. Several council members have been insisting on a 3-year term, and I agree. This interlocal agreement with our own DPW is the most effective and beneficial move for the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority, for the Department of Public Works, and ultimately all the users and taxpayers of this town. There is no good reason for the mayor to stand in the way of good business and competent service. I hope the agreement terms is 3 years in that contract, and if so, I'm hoping the council moves on it tonight. Thank you.
Jesse Palladini, Sunset Ridge. This is not a statement on the Greenway, but I would like the record to reflect once again that the chairperson of the Greenway Committee said once again there will be no maintenance costs. I want everybody to remember that statement moving forward. Secondly, to answer your questions, Mr. Rizzuto, that survey was put on the special Greenway Facebook page. And if they don't like the comment you make on the page, they delete it. Or sometimes they block you, just as the mayor blocks people from his Facebook page. I'm one of the persons that he has blocked. I can never comment on the mayor's page. So I think those two things are important to say. I'm here tonight to say, Gene Murphy, I don't understand what kind of game you're playing. You've got all these ambulance people here, so many of whom have expressed their concerns over the past week on Facebook, in email, and in other places. They're here tonight because they have such serious concerns about what you are about to do, and then when they're here, you pull it?
Excuse me, I'll just comment on that.
Sure.
Okay. When the mayor, when Councilmember Rizzuto, Councilmember Ohms asked something to be put on the agenda, I put it on the agenda. I don't pick and choose. The mayor asked for the ordinance to be put on the agenda. When I arrived here today, he asked me if I would pull the ordinance. I called the attorney, who was on his way here, and asked him. I said, what's the procedure? The mayor asked for the ordinance to be pulled. He said, you set the agenda. If he wants something removed, you remove it, period. I said, no vote? He said, no. I asked the mayor, I said, why are you removing it? He said, I realize that further information is needed. Further research is done. I agree. I spoke to some of the emergency services. Councilmember Rizzuto and Wetzel, they had meetings with some of the emergency services. The rest of the council was not privy to that meeting or what took place. So, just so you know, I mean, when you're trying to say that there was something underhanded done, that's simply all it was. The emergency services, I told them it's pulled from the agenda. You're welcome to stay, but it's off the agenda. I didn't write the ordinance.
There's only one problem with your explanation, and that is that it is the council's agenda, not the mayor's.
No.
The council.
And as I explained to you, when somebody, whether it's the mayor wants to put something on the agenda, it's put on the agenda. I don't pick and choose and say, no, you can't have that on the agenda. This is a public meeting. If any of the council members want something on the agenda, I don't say to them, you can't have it on the agenda. It should go on the agenda. We're all equal up here. But that's what happens is...
Councilman Rizzuto, were you privy to any of the provisions of this ordinance? Were you privy to any conversations or discussions regarding?
Well, this is really not a question and answer, but when you're asking whether he's privy, I don't know that any of the council members were privy other than what happened during the meetings.
That's exactly right. The only time I knew of what was going on, what was during the presentation of the original ordinance, where I, along with Mrs. Ohms, and I believe Mr. Kadish, who requested that the original ordinance be pulled, was unaware of anything that was supposed to take place.
And that's with the entire council.
Subsequent to that, we did meet, I and Mr. Wetzel, with a number of the ambulance squad. Having additional members of the council there would have constituted a violation of the Sunshine Law.
Okay.
And this is the first meeting.
This
is the first meeting since that time, and this would have been the only occasion where I would have had the opportunity to report back to the council as to the comments that I have heard, which have been decidedly negative. Let me tell you, there are those people who sit up here and then say occasionally, boy, I received a lot of calls, one or two. May have been from their best friend, saying, you really got to do something about that. I can tell you that in sitting on the council for over 6 years, there has not been an issue that has brought forth the degree of disagreement that this particular issue has.
It should.
As these people are invested, I think that's the best word. They are invested in their service to the community. They don't do it for money. They do it because, quite honestly, they see the need. It's their way of giving back. And as one of them told me, it makes me feel good. And you know what? If something makes you feel good, then you should do it. And they recognize the problems. What they are asking for is a way of expressing their thoughts, their conversations, and their ideas. to the township government, and to the township administration. So while I disagree frequently with the mayor, I think he did a smart thing by pulling this ordinance from the agenda.
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to have pulled it, and I just want to be clear that while I really appreciate your dialogue, I've had about 30 seconds of my 5 minutes, while you folks have had about 6 minutes.
Nobody's cutting your time.
I will insist.
Nobody's cutting your time.
But I appreciate the dialogue. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not saying that it was necessarily a bad thing to pull it, but you know, my goodness, you have all these people who come out here, and I hope every one of them gets up and gives their opinions. Because to have them all come here and then just say, you know what, we're pulling it. Okay, I'm done with that subject. But I would hope that you would listen to them. And I would hope that you do take their concerns very highly. I personally think that this ordinance is going to be a money grab, a revenue stream, and I have to question who is going to benefit from it. Okay. I also want to say tonight that I oppose the resolution to allow expenditures from the Open Space Trust Fund for recreation and conservation purposes. You introduced an ordinance to this effect in 2010, Mayor Shortway, when you were deputy mayor at the time, and there were about 200 people in this room who came and opposed your suggestion, and you pulled it that night. But rather than discuss the merits of that, I'm simply going to say that if you do approve this resolution to divert the funds from our open space monies, then I and a number of people are going to circulate a petition to put a question on the ballot to return the open space funds to the taxpayers. And that question will be on the ballot too. Because that money was collected for the purpose of purchasing open space, not to give you a blank check to do what you want with construction and recreation and fields and whatever else. Lastly, I just want to ask, what is this bid all about? Resolution authorizing Township Council to reject all bids for the Vernon no net loss reforestation. What is this about? Would somebody please tell me? We had Beverly Buds, who was doing the grant for $3,000. Then you pulled her from it and gave it to Mike Chesky. Then Mike Chesky wasn't doing it, and John Auberger was doing it. Then you hired a forester for up to $35,000 when Beverly Buds had a forester, a state-certified forester, free of charge. And now you're putting it out to bid again? What's that for?
I think the mayor can probably address that in your council comments.
Okay.
Was that where you were going to address it?
I'll address it there.
So you're going to take more money out of that grant to hire yet another person. I'll wait for your comments. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Scott Berge. I am a 13-year member of the Glenwood-Ho-Chunk Valley Ambulance Corps, and I'm also currently a trustee. So I'm going to read to you. I'm here to address an ordinance that was presented at the last town council meeting and subsequently tabled. Again, it was presented tonight, but it was again taken off. I am sure that all of you have heard certain sayings or have certain mantras or phrases that you try to live by. For example, the golden rule. Where did these come from? How did some of these originate? And why do we tend to use them? Well, I'm not really sure where a lot of them came from or how they were presented, but the why. Why do we use these sayings? Well, in most cases, it's because they make sense. So I'm going to give you one of these sayings, and as far as that resolution that was presented in front of you at the last town meeting, it truly is applicable. If it's not broke, then why fix it? If it's not broke, why fix it? At the last town council meeting, an ordinance was introduced that, if passed, would basically lead to the dismantling of our 2 town volunteer ambulance corps, putting them then together as one, but under the directorship of the town fire marshal and ultimately the town's leadership. Again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So why the attempt to try and fix something? Well, in the last few years, volunteerism for both squads has dwindled some, and both squads have undergone some internal problems. Yes, both squads had some dirty laundry, as we may call it, and some of this was out in the public for a short time. Well, what company doesn't have certain growing pains or problems and struggle at times? Even this here board has also experienced that in the last few years, and even so tonight. But as with all things, time heals and rebuilding begins. Both squads are now under new leadership. Numbers are rebounding, and both squads are definitely stronger now than 1 year ago. So why are we here? How did we get to this point, and where are we heading? Well, there is one thing that is certainly without question, simply put, and that is the welfare of our community citizens in their critical time of need. When someone in the community needs an ambulance and needs it now, one should be available. There's no debating this, and this is obviously something that we can all agree on, and that's for certain. So I guess the ultimate question is simply, is this happening? Are the ambulatory needs of the community being met? Are there shortfalls, and if so, where are the shortfalls? You see, the last thing that anyone on either squad wants is to ignore the truth. But we also don't like it when certain untruths are being spread and said on social media. If one were to read what the mayor has offered on social media, you would assume that emergency calls are not being handled, response times are down, and that the community is in peril when it comes to ambulance service. I'm not here to talk about the untruths. I'm only going to share with you the truths. So let me first educate you about both squads and how we work. From Monday all the way through Friday, we work on 12-hour shifts. Let me rephrase that. We volunteer on 12-hour shifts. We work from 6 p.m. at night till 6 a.m. in the morning. That's the night shift. The Vernon Ambulance Squad covers their area, and the Glenwood Pochuck covers their respective area. We cover for each other if a backup crew is needed. So from 6 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, till 6 a.m. in the morning, the Glenwood covers their side, Vernon covers their side. But we also back up each other. Well, what does that mean? Right now, if the Vernon ambulance was out on a call and another ambulance was needed in the Vernon side of town, Glenwood would cover it, and vice versa. God forbid, but sometimes even a third ambulance is needed. In that instance, they would dispatch saying that a backup crew is needed, and whatever members are available would show up. Now, I ride on Thursday nights. I remember distinctly many times on other nights when a call goes out and it's a motor vehicle accident with multiple injuries. I just automatically go to the building because I know we're going to need more than one ambulance. Even though it's not my time to respond, I respond as a backup. From 6 a.m. Saturday morning till 6 a.m. Sunday morning, Vernon Township Ambulance Squad covers the entire town with a duty crew and a backup crew. From 6 a.m. Sunday morning till 6 a.m. Monday morning, Glenwood-Pochuck covers the entire town with a duty crew and a backup crew. Neither squad has any problem at all covering these shifts and with full crews. Response times are the same that they have always been. They have not been delayed. These are the truths. It's not broken. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us the weekdays from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. On Monday, Vernon Ambulance has a crew that covers the town. And now currently, because of the lack of coverage due to not enough volunteers during the day, St. Clair's is now providing the town with their services, Tuesday through Friday. This is at no cost whatsoever to the town. This is also currently working. It's not broken. But, yes, there is always a but. It could be better. Notice, this is us, the volunteer organizations that are saying it can be better. I've always been told, and I've tried my best with all things I do to live by this saying, instead of being part of the problem, be part of the solution. Both ambulance squads have tried very hard to do just this. We have recognized that the day shifts have been hard to cover and have been thankful for this solution and the help that St. Clair's has provided. But we have also recognized the problem, and we have addressed it with town leadership, but to no avail. So wherein lies the coverage? Or I'm sorry, wherein lies the problem? The problem is with backup coverage. Well, what is this? If you remember what I talked about with night shifts, what happens when a second ambulance is needed? Because the first one is already on a call. So at night, we have the second crew to cover. But during the day, we don't have that. So in the past, when we as volunteers had enough people to cover the entire day, when a second ambulance was needed, dispatch would page out for a backup crew. And whomever was available would then respond. I myself would oftentimes respond for a backup call. But my employer didn't want me to go out all the time. But I was available if need be. And so are a lot of these volunteers. Whomever was available would then respond. This, though, has stopped happening since we started using St. Clair's service. So now when a second ambulance is needed, we don't get dispatched out. We know nothing about it. I could be sitting right now during the week at my house and a CPR call go out across the street and I wouldn't even know about it. That's sad. But that's not on us because we have addressed this. What this means is that another town, what we call mutual aid, is now responding. Why is this happening? Again, we are here to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So where do we go from here? It's not broke. It's not broke. It is working. It's been working, and it's been working very well. It stopped working to its best capability when, for some reason, in the past few months, and I'm not sure where the buck stopped, which means, in other words, who made the ultimate decision to stop paging us out for backup calls. But that stopped. It can be improved, and as volunteers, we recognize what needs to be done. We have made the town manager aware of this. We have had discussions with the town manager. He told us, listen, we're not going, we don't want to go. The last thing we want to do is go to a paid service. That's what we were told. And then suddenly, a couple of weeks ago, it's on the agenda, unbeknownst to us. Please, let us continue to do what we do best as volunteers. It's not broken. Please don't fix it. Any ordinance that is even remotely close to what was presented at the last meeting is only going to create bigger issues and problems, and it's ultimately going to cost taxpayers more money. It's not broke. We're here. We would be more than happy to sit down and discuss it further with whoever wants to listen to us. Let us do what we do best, save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Bonnie Rubin, Highland Lakes, and I would also like to speak to Ordinance 1714 by telling my own very personal, sad story regarding what is happening. I also tried to read this ordinance, and it was very confusing, but I did glean that the practice would be in the future to outsource our ambulance services to private enterprise or private companies. My husband, Michael, died a year ago this month. He was a cancer patient, and he was very ill. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was out in my yard gardening, and when I came back in, Michael had had some sort of attack, and he was on the floor, and the first thing I did was call the police, and I immediately started to try to resuscitate him. I do have CPR experience, and I think they were police officers. In my hysteria, I wasn't even sure, but 2 officials came in, and they also tried to resuscitate Michael using paddles and CPR, and to no avail. And right shortly after that, an ambulance crew arrived, and I didn't recognize it as being our own volunteers. And they determined ultimately that Michael had passed, and they put him in the ambulance and transported him over to St. Clair's Hospital. And my daughter and I followed him in my car. And when we got to St. Clair's, their staff was amazingly compassionate, caring, comforting. I've never experienced such great service in my life. They comforted us. And several weeks later, I got a bill in the mail from St. Clair's Prime Healthcare for ambulance service invoice for transporting my husband, ALS service, 9.8 miles to St. Clair's Hospital. I received a bill for $5,154.90. I was aghast, but apparently they didn't take my insurance information. Fortunately, my husband had 2 jobs, so he had 2 insurance carriers, and they covered the bill in its entirety. But then I thought, what about people who have a job and they only have 1 insurance carrier? Even their copay would be over $1,000. And how about the poor people that we know they're out there that don't have any insurance at all? I know the practice of our volunteer ambulance corps is if people are indigent, they can't afford their bill, they will write off the bill for the service. However, I highly doubt that a private company such as this, with such a this amount of this disgraceful bill, would be willing to write off their fee. And that's why I'm bringing this to your attention. I don't think this is a very good idea at all, and I agree that our ambulance service is highly necessary, and the volunteers are doing this out of their commitment to their fellow man. And that's why I'm here, just to say that. Thank you.
My name is Tony Chili. I live in Vernon. I have a story today. My 7-year-old choked on a piece of pizza at lunch today, and I had to call 911, and literally within 3 minutes, I had the police there and the EMT, so I want to thank all of you because it was really upsetting. So I can't thank you all enough for everything you do and how compassionate the EMS woman was, and our town police were amazing. So with that said, I'm also here to ask for the council's support to vote for Michelle Downstain to give her a raise and the title she deserves. Michelle has stepped up and has been doing the rec director role for many years now. She had to step into some pretty big shoes, and she has done that. It was actually a job that was done by 2 people under the last mayor. Michelle is a huge asset to Vernon residents. Her experience in this job, along with her dedication, hard work, and leadership with the many rec activities, makes her more than qualified for this job. If you were to ask the seniors who she helps on a daily basis at the senior center if she was qualified, they would say yes. If you were to ask the dog park community if she were qualified for this job, they would say yes. If you were to talk and ask the soccer, football, softball, lacrosse, and field hockey parents who practice at Maple Grange and who Michelle schedules the field for, they would say she would be qualified. If you were to ask the garden community at the community garden, who Michelle is always updating on the watering, the scheduling, and all the other maintenance, they would say she was qualified. If you were to ask parents and children at the trick or trunk or the lighting of the Christmas tree, I was at both. It was after Michelle's hours, and she was there working hard. They would say she was qualified. If you were to ask the people involved in the very popular Trails of Vernon Challenge, they would say she was qualified. I've worked with Michelle on the Greenway Committee, and she is always there to direct us. She works on our grants, our Sustainable New Jersey certifications. She has written grants for the Greenway with no additional payment. Michelle is a huge asset to Vernon, and it would be a shame to lose her. Please don't make her a political pawn. Please consider voting for Michelle to be our rec director. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Hamilton. I'm from Vernon. Also got a lot of EMT. It's terrifying up here if I pass out. Maybe I'll make it. I am currently the field scheduler for Vernon Youth Soccer. I have come here tonight to the council regarding Resolution 17-164, the appointment of the Director of Recreation and Community Development. I'm hoping the council will appoint Michelle Downstain for this position. As a member of the Vernon Youth Soccer Executive Board since 2011 and the VYS field scheduler for the last 2 years, Michelle's knowledge and attention is unmeasurable resource for our club. It is no secret that VIS would not be able to provide youth soccer at the current affordable rate if not for the use of the fields within Vernon Township. Michelle makes this process easy and promotes a harmonized approach for all the youth groups within Vernon. In fact, I have 3 school-aged kids that I've chosen to raise in Vernon Township. Throughout the last 5 years, my kids have participated in soccer, of course, Vernon Girls Softball, Little League, Vernon Football, and PL Lacrosse. I myself am a member of the Vernon Township Women's Softball League. All of these organizations utilize the fields within Vernon Township. Under Michelle's leadership, all of these organizations are sharing field space and working together to ensure all the kids within the organization have the fields available. I will admit that I'm not able to attend these council meetings, but I do try to keep up to date on Vernon Township and the news through social media. It is no secret that Vernon Township has seen a decline in population over the last few years. And while I understand there are many, many reasons people look to buy a house in a certain area, I'm confident that the activities a certain town offers to families is a huge factor. I truly believe the successes of the respective youth programs within Vernon help make Vernon Township a desirable place for a family to buy a house. And I feel very confident that our success is due to the attention given to us by Michelle. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else from the public?
Pat LaSorsa, Vernon resident, taxpayer since 1981, and Great Gorge Village owner. I was here at the last meeting, and after reviewing the responses, I had a few more comments and questions, please. Ms. Murphy, you commented last time that the residents in the town that are on have their own septic do not feel they have to contribute to the sewers. And I can partially agree with that. They do not need to pay for my sewage bills, nor the sewage bills of those in Great Gorge Village. What the entire town including those on a septic system, should be sharing the responsibility for is that portion of the development of our whole town that did not come to fruition. And those of us that were on the sewer system before Vernon purchased it had no say if we wanted in or out. It was a decision made by our administration town. And again, there were promises that were made and never occurred. But I repeat, the Great Gorge Village ratepayers should not be responsible for the broken promises for an entire town. When you, Mr. Mayor, spoke at the last meeting, you were positive about continued future and moving forward with the original plan for a bigger and better Vernon at a cost. But I'm hearing on the other side of the council almost a defeat, as in it's not getting better anytime soon, and sorry, it didn't work out for the ratepayers. There seems to be a push and a pull among our representatives here, and while there are always differences of opinion, I would like to see our administrators work together and come together for the good of all Vernon residents. As to the lawsuit, Mr. Joshua, can't pronounce your last name there, mentioned it speaks for itself, because you did not want to comment on it. So I got a copy of that lawsuit. And although I know you cannot comment on it, I want to comment that I am disappointed in it. There is a lift station mentioned in the lawsuit that isn't even on Great Gorge Village property. So I'm concerned that this lawsuit was a kind of let's throw whatever we can at the wall and see what sticks. I was informed that the township was provided with paperwork showing that the lift stations in the lawsuit were owned by Mid-Atlantic and then by United Water, and United Water sold them to the Vernon MUA. And it's sad that a township would sue their own taxpayers to distance themselves from a cost that was created by the very same township. It makes no sense. The Great Gorge residents did nothing wrong, yet they are the taxpayers' most burdened. An additional unfairness is that a portion of my homeowners association's dues is paying for the attorney to fight the township, while a portion of my Vernon taxes are paid to the township attorney to fight my homeowners association. So I'm paying on both sides there. I'm fighting against myself. I want to go on record that I contend that the lawsuit was unnecessary and unfair to a single group of Vernon Township taxpayers. My question, do you feel as an administration you can work together to not only be sympathetic to our challenges, but to look for any and all possible solutions that will ease the burden to the ratepayers? And also, I see here on the resolution, I would like to know if someone could explain to me what Resolution 17.166 is. A drawdown on irrevocable letter of credit from Mountain Creek regarding the MUA there. Is that good for the ratepayers or not?
I can't tell you if it's good for the ratepayers or not. What I can tell you is that Mountain Creek provided the township with an irrevocable letter of credit. That letter of credit right now expires in, I think, the end of September, and the resolution is to allow the township to present the letter of credit to the bank, and then it's as good as cash. So that's what the resolution is.
So thank you for your time. And
Can I just add something? The only issue with that is once that money is gone, then what? Because that's just a Band-Aid.
And that's what I'm hoping that
right, but that's only that could only be a Band-Aid for a couple years, not a fix.
I understand that. Thank you for your time, and I look forward with great hope as a Vernon resident and taxpayer that we can all work together to find a solution and come to an agreement on how to be just and fair to all Vernon taxpayers and residents. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Business Administrator, Council President, and Council. Richard Carson, Highland Lakes. I am, to preface, I am a life member of the Vernon Township Ambulance Squad. But in addition to that, this year is my 43rd year in emergency medicine as well as critical care medicine and emergency management. I have held multiple positions in both basic and advanced care, pre-hospital, and within the hospital systems as well. I have been intimately involved with situations such as the ordinance, the EMS ordinance that was pulled from tonight in developing those type of situations, as well as being involved in towns outside of this particular area that do use paid BLS part-time in order to augment their volunteer ambulance services. Now, historically, New Jersey is very, very unique out of the whole country. That's part of what's gotten the state of New Jersey into these situations that you see right now. And it's not just the topic that has been brought up in this forum, particularly with manpower and some other points as well. But it's a widespread global issue with many points. Now, the one thing that you do not want to do is rush into something like this quickly. Inherently, it's dangerous. Number two, it is going to cost the town and or the taxpayers or the patients money. I'm telling you, it's coming if you don't think of various points. Now, I read this ordinance. There is so much left out, so much convoluted. It's not a clear-cut action like it should be. And if this ordinance was to go through and you wait a year down the line, you are going to have more problems than you ever thought you would have in your life. I'm telling you, it will happen. Now, that's not to say that ideas can't be generated, options can't be explored, of course. Of course. But you need to take your time. What you have in that ordinance built in right now is maybe about 30 or 40% of what actually would be required to start a paid EMS service. And that's just the beginning. I mean, I could go on for about a week just on this particular topic. Okay? Now, a few other things. Back when St. Clair's started covering during the day, town was made aware of it rather quickly, but the residents were made aware of it. And I know I posted on social media several times that the option that was used is one that is frequently used by towns in New Jersey that go this particular direction. There are others, but this is the one most commonly used. Now, what concerns me about this ordinance is that the residents of this town didn't even have an inkling as to this was coming. And I will venture to guess that many haven't even understood that there was a problem with the ambulance squad, or a perceived problem with whatever the various issues are. So your first step should have been to make the residents aware in a step-by-step process, perhaps have these informational meetings and proceed to see if other solutions aren't applicable. Okay? The membership of the squad needed to be more fully involved. And when I say fully involved, I mean with all the membership and the leadership of the squad, or squads. Next, your financial structure for a volunteer, or I'm sorry, a paid EMS in Vernon. Here you must, without a doubt, proceed very carefully and very proactively. Because I am telling you, and it will happen. Now, I know there's busier towns and busier suburban towns that have, paid services during the day. And the paid services can operate in a little more of a better positive financial sense. But up here, it is going to be very, very unique, if not unheard of, at least to my knowledge, in this type of a region, to have a paid service for EMS operated by the town. Yes, there can be variations. I know Sparta has their structure, but again, you must be very, very careful. Getting back to the financials, it's not just maybe equipment, replacing equipment. Obviously, you've got the salaries, the benefits, but let me ask you this question, and it's a valid question, and it's certainly something that would want to be considered, because this is what I'm talking about as far as getting you into trouble. How are you going to financially operate this particular EMS division on a paid status? There's about 2 answers to that. And I'm telling you right now, you don't, it's not even in the ordinance. Okay? The volunteers, we all know, are good, dedicated people, work hard. It's no fun being out there at 2, 3 in the morning in 0-degree weather. So there is so much that has not been addressed with this ordinance. A lot of options, to my understanding, from what I've seen, have not been explored. And all I'm trying to do is save you one hell of a migraine. Because I promise you, I know I'm being repaired, but I promise you it will hit, and it will come. And other than that, like I said, details, you could go on for a week. I've been here since all this started back in the early to mid 70s. That's when all these problems statewide with volunteer EMS actually began. And it just took off from there. So please tread carefully and think very critically and use all your resources that you have available to you in the town with the volunteers to guide yourselves forward. Remember, you do have several options. Some of them have been mentioned tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public?
Good evening, Beth Buds, Vernon. Mr. Fury, you seem not to have known all the locations that would be utilized in the second no net loss grant. So I'll let you know it's going to be the Vernon Recyclable Center, Vernon Community Garden, Vernon Dog Park, Vernon Municipal Center, Owen Station, a reforestation program, Way State Park, Maple Grange, Veterans Memorial Park, Barrett Drive, Way State Property, and Vernon Historical Society. The no net loss grant was acquired by the previous Environmental Commission for the loss of 53,000 trees during the pipeline construction in 2011. In 2015, 250 trees were planted in Vernon at the Recyclable Center and the Vernon Dog Park. The cost of those trees was $19,175. Elka, you'll recognize that. This is the purchase order. The check paid to Vernon Township was $75,000. That was December of 2015. After paying me to write the grant $3,000 and the tree tagger $3,200, the balance left was $49,585. I still, to this date, haven't seen 1 cent of that money spent on those trees that are out there dying right now. Where's the money? It has not been spent on tree maintenance. Just look at them. The trees are dying. Since I was removed from the administration of the grant in 2016 when Harry Shortway became the mayor, there is no way the residents of Vernon Township will ever let Harry Shortway take control of the $1 million open space money to take care of the trees or plant trees in Vernon. He couldn't keep the grant trees alive. I resent, as the writer of the grant, your reckless handling of this precious gift to our town. The Greenway Committee obviously has no business being in charge of anything green, especially our open space $1 million. I offered to finish the grant tree planting for free, as I did the first grant in 2012 and 13, which I was 100% successful. All of those trees are alive right now and flourishing. It came to my attention that Mayor Shortway made the comment that the trees were planted too closely and they were overwatered. Well, I was on site during the planting. I have pictures of every phase of that with Dave Pullis and the forester. They were planted exactly to the letter of the grant. They were deprived of water. And you know it and I know it because it was my host that was watering those trees, and I was out there watering them, helping the DPW, until you became mayor, Harry Shortway, and stopped all maintenance on those trees. You and I know we have texts going back and forth, me begging you to please water those trees, Harry. Please water the trees, they're dying. This went on for 5 months. You neglected them, they are dying. That cost the township $300 per tree, and it's paid by the taxpayers. Okay, we're looking at a lot of money. A lot of money is going to have to be paid back for that grant. It does not get paid back from the grant money. Wherever that $45,000 is, you cannot use that money to repay and rebuy new trees. That money is for maintenance for 10 years. Nobody seems to be reading this grant. This is the grant. Everybody needs to have a copy of it. No one is adhering to it. It cannot be rewritten. I wrote it. I signed off on it. The township got paid for it. You are neglecting and disrespecting the grant, and you know it. You throw the DPW under the bus about their planting, you throw me under the bus, you're wrong. I can prove it. I have pictures of every phase of it. The New Jersey Herald was there. Okay, so the whole thing about being planted too closely and overwatered is not true. So I would appreciate it if you'd stop saying that, because that is not true. And I'll take you to task on that and prove to you that's wrong. You removed me from the Environmental Commission because you wanted the open space money, and you knew I would fight you on it. That money, I will join with Jesse Palladini, and we will start a petition to give that money back to the residents. It is not going to go for ball fields, and if you can't take care of the trees that are at the recyclable center, which is 150 feet from this building, you think you can take care of trees on a greenway and keep them alive with our money, our taxpayer money? I don't think so. I don't think so, and I think you know that's true. We can't water what's across the street. There's no way we're going to be able to water within some path and your greenway, and you want to take our open space money for it, no. I will fight you on that, and you know it, and that's why you removed me. That being said, I still, to this day, offer to you right now, I will go out and I will make sure the other 3 phases are completed and take care of the trees that are in the ground. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to hire anybody. I will do it because I believe in the reason the grant was gotten. We fought that gas pipeline to get that money that the township deserved because they took a lot of our landscape and our trees out. And that's what we give back, is we let them die. So this administration is at more fault than the gas company. At least they knew to pay their fine. You let the trees die for spite. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I can't even drive by that recyclable center.
Mark Chili, Vernon, and I promise to end the night on a brief and hopefully optimistic note. Something that'll be a little bit different here tonight. Anyway, just a few words to voice my support for the Greenway Action Advisory Committee. Not an easy committee name. I wish you would change that. But I've been involved with it over the last number of weeks, and to get out there and see the hard work with no dollars, virtually no resources, all volunteers to clear that first initial trail, to forge that, was really amazing. It was a sense of community, a sense of accomplishment. And you know, to your point, I don't know if that'll get 20 miles done, but it'll get 2 miles done. And then we'll worry about mile 3, and then we'll worry about mile 4. I know getting off your butt and getting out there and doing it is more effective than sitting on your butt and criticizing it. And it will take more time, it will take more money. And with that, I am pleased to present to Vernon and the Greenway Trust Fund a check for $500 from my firm, Addison Partners, to just get it going. It's not enough, but it's something, it's a start. And I would encourage other businesses, other people that want to get involved, if they want to see this happen for the residents and visitors of our community, to enjoy the natural resources that we have. Let's just start doing it. Let's stop fighting it and let's start doing it. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Seeing no one else, may I have a motion to close the public?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the mayor's report.
Okay, regards to the no-net tree grant, I wasn't prepared to discuss that. I will discuss that at the next meeting. However, I will let you know that that matter was forwarded last year to the DCA. It's currently under investigation. Regarding that forester that used to be there, he was terminated. So I'll leave it at that. I'll discuss it with the DCA, what I can and can't say. I will say that with the bids coming in, it was too high, and we're going to put them out for bids again. We're going to change the calibers of the trees to be within the $300 for each tree. Last year, I inspected our Vernon Township property that runs adjacent to the railroad tracks parallel to Sand Hill Road. I discovered dozens of old railroad ties discarded on the township and other properties. This parcel is to be part of the Vernon's Greenway and is a sensitive wetlands. The Environmental Commission's chairperson, Mike Fury, was directed to investigate this matter and mediate a cleanup of this bulk waste. The EC pursued this matter with the county. I'm happy to inform this council that the railroad company has voluntarily complied to clean up the bulk waste. To date, 8 30-yard dumpsters have been filled with debris. The cleanup continues, and I wish to thank the EC and the County Health Department for their assistance in this matter. The court dismissed with prejudice the lawsuit brought forth by Beverly Butch, Richard Carson, Dale Disney, Edward Nitch, and Angie Metler. The court concluded that plaintiffs failed to state any significant public interest other than their private interest in their positions as to why the 45-day deadline should be extended. This frivolous lawsuit cost the taxpayers $5,429.85. I respectfully request the council authorize our township attorney to recover these fees from the plaintiffs. I have received several complaints from residents regarding work to be completed by the DPW. We are currently down 4 DPW employees, we have not hired additional workers in an effort to save tax dollars. An employee illness and 2 employees still performing MUA duties has resulted in delaying maintenance at intersections and grits not being removed from our streets. I had intended that both employees assigned to the MUA would return to the DPW by July 1st, 2017. The DPW workers remain assigned to the MUA in the interest of public health and safety. The township has not received payment from the MUA for 70% of the cost for the 2 employees' benefits, and the licensed employee has not received a $700 per month stipend because there is no contract. We have heard the plight of the ratepayers. Some of the licensed professionals who serve as commissioners have expressed that the system can be operated and maintained at a considerably lower cost than what the MUA is currently paying. The MUA has estimated 225 hours are required a month to operate and maintain this system. Last month, 259 hours, including 34 hours, which was necessary for an emergency situation, was expended. It is my belief, based on discussions with some of the MUA commissioners, the system requires far less man hours than with estimates of 120 hours per month. I requested last March the MUA issue an RFP for an outside contractor to operate and maintain the sewer system owned by the township. The RFP and proposals are needed to analyze operations and maintenance in an effort to stabilize rates and increase services performed by the DPW on the roads. The RFP has not been forthcoming. The assigned workers will report full-time to the DPW on January 31st, 2018, and I will immediately advise the MUA of that tomorrow. I respectfully request the council approve the proposed MUA contract tonight to January 31st, 2018. Another note, I am appointing Lisa Anderson to the Historical Preservation Commission. Be it known, I fully support the resolution authorizing this Township Council to grant permission to allow vending at Vernon Maple Grange Park by the Vernon Youth Football and Cheerleading Association for the 2017 season. I wish to publicly commend our police department for arresting Greg Lamantia, 27, charged with 14 counts of burglary, 16 counts of theft, and 1 count of possession of burglary tools. Vernon earned a 3rd place honor for its display at the recent Sussex County Fair. Thank you to Michelle Downton for your hard work in creating this showcase. I think that's our 4th ribbon in the last 4 years. Vernon has also been named as the best town in New Jersey for nature lovers to visit by Expedia. In 2010, I attempted to place a question on the ballot for voters to decide should the township modify the approval uses of our open space monies. Opposition to the referendum blatantly lied about my motive. They claimed that my motive was to build lacrosse fields. What I said in 2010 was the following. Vernon residents voted for the open space tax referendum back in 2000. During the current economic conditions, the council needs to ascertain ways for funding to continue to improve our community and remain committed to the preservation of open space for recreation. I proposed a referendum to put forth on the November ballot that will permit the use of open space funds to acquire lands for development, easements, and development rights for open space and passive recreation. The Open Space Fund would be used for improvements and maintenance to municipal properties that are dedicated to open space, parks, recreation, and registered historical properties. Back then, improvements to be targeted were skate park, lights for baseball, biking and hiking trails, dog park, disc golf, develop the Black Creek for indigenous people, and add an amphitheater to the Maple Grange Park. The use of this fund will not affect municipal tax rates, but will incorporate the interest of many residents. The offset of the existing cost for maintenance and upkeep of the park, historical designations, hiking trails, etc., will give Vernon more value for its money. The Vernon residents should decide how the fund should be used, not the council or this mayor, especially at a time when there is no money to improve what currently exists. Last week, the county approved a November referendum to change their permitted use of their county open space funds. By approving Resolution 17-163, the governing body and mayor will receive direction on how best to utilize this fund by presenting a non-binding question to Vernon voters. Finally, Resolution 17-164, the appointment of Michelle Downton to Director of Recreation and Community Development. 3 members, Councilmen Rizzuto, Wetzel, and Kadish, approved our current municipal code, establishing a Department of Recreation and Community Development, and that the department shall be headed by a director. Our code does not define qualifications. Councilpersons Murphy and Kadish supported Ms. Downton's appointment to director. However, the resolution failed 3-2. Following that vote, a civil service audit was requested to analyze Ms. Downton's duty and determine her appropriate job classifications. Civil service found that Ms. Downton is working out of her title, as I previously informed this council. Civil service has ordered that her supervisory duties be transferred to another employee with the appropriate title by August 20th. There are no employees with the appropriate title to perform her current duties. Consenting to this appointment will continue the high levels of services at the dog park, community garden, senior center, coordination of events with the PAL, and Maple Grange Fields, et cetera, et cetera. Ms. Downton is closely involved and a driving factor in developing Vernon into a true Four Seasons community that is receiving state and tri-state recognition. Ms. Downton's efforts were key for us achieving sustainable New Jersey and a grant for further development of the Greenway. The ordinance has been substantially changed. The resolution has been substantially changed regarding retroactive pay. Michelle has effectively and efficiently performed the duties of Director of Department of Recreation and Community Development since February of 2016. Her retro compensation would be from February 27, 2017, opposed to January 1st of this year. Ms. Downton earned an associate's degree in psychology with a 4.0, and her almost 3 years of exceptional service will be recognized as 60 college credits by civil service. She is currently working towards receiving official certification. I strongly recommend that she be promoted to director as defined by our municipal code. Thank you.
Swear.
Next, we have the minutes.
Wait, I just have some questions, Mayor. Why did the ambulance say they don't get called out for the backup calls? Or why is that?
That would be better directed by the chief of police to answer that.
Want me to answer that?
Yes, would you please?
I just talked to them out in the hallway. There's a miscommunication. When the paid ambulance squad is here from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., they are the duty crew. When they get called out, what do we do next? One option would be to put out an all-call. What an all-call means, or put out a call for a backup crew. You tone it out there, and you wait. Now, by protocol, we have to wait 7 minutes. After 7 minutes, if nobody's signed on the air, we have to wait 7 more minutes. Then after 7 more minutes, then we would go to mutual aid the next town over. Wantage, Sussex, Hamburg, Hardiston, whoever is available. So it was done to get a crew moving as quickly as possible versus waiting. Now, they were supposed to have been told, on any given day, if they've got enough people available, they can call us up and say, hey, we got a backup crew here, and we'll go straight to them. So I just talked to them out in the hallway. We're going to have some one-on-one meetings. I think something that maybe has been lacking a little lately. But it was done for that reason. I mean, there's so many, you know, I can't agree that the system's not broke, because the system is broke. But we all have to get together on the right way to fix it. But that's the explanation for that, because to tone them out, I mean, I'll just be perfectly frank. If you say a 2-year-old's choking, they're going to have more people than they know what to do with. If you say a 70-year-old's having difficulty breathing, we're going to get crickets on the airs for forever. I mean, that's just the human nature side of it. Sometimes you get somebody, sometimes you don't. But we were in a situation where we'd be waiting up to 14, 15 minutes before even going to the next town. Now you're starting with them from scratch, and they're responding from further away. So that's what happened there. But we're going to have more communication. We're going to talk more about, is there something in between we can do to make it a little bit better? But
So it's a miscommunication?
I don't know that it's a miscommunication. It could be, because I don't know what information they actually got as far as what was put out there. Again, they were told if they can have a crew on any given day, we'll go straight to them as a backup. Of course, it would be ridiculous not to. But to tone it out and just hope for 14 minutes that somebody might sign on the air, and you can't just have one. To run a crew, you need multiple people. And that's why it made more sense to go directly to another town, mutual aid, and get them moving in that direction.
Yeah, it just sounded like they weren't aware of this new protocol.
Well, I don't know. I just talked to some of them out in the hallway, and they were, but I think we can probably make it a little bit better than it is. We just need to get together and talk about it.
And with the mutual aid, they respond immediately?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, everybody's got similar issues. Now Hamburg's got a paid service, and their paid service isn't going to leave Hamburg, just like ours isn't going to leave Vernon to go to somebody else for mutual aid. So if you got to go to Sussex, the response time alone could be 10, 15 minutes, let alone how long it takes somebody to drop what they're doing at home, get in their vehicle, drive to their building, get in their rig, and get over here. So you can understand going to another town after 15 minutes you're talking, 45-minute response times. It's better to go directly to them, at least get them going right away, and somebody's coming. Okay?
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Chief.
Thanks for speaking up. And then I just want to make a comment. When we go forward with the ambulance, I think we should do some work sessions and let everybody be involved and participate.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think if we're going to have a work session, probably should start after the holiday in September, because otherwise you're working on vacation schedules and people aren't going to be able to attend. So I don't think this is a situation that is so emergent that it has to be done tomorrow or next week. But I certainly believe that giving these people an opportunity to explain their point of view, and then hearing, as the chief told us, what the other side of the story is, we can make a more informed decision. But at this point, I am very pleased that the matter was pulled from the agenda. It would have gone down, I believe.
So I'd like to make, I don't know if this is appropriate, a motion that we have work sessions before another ordinance is introduced.
Well, I don't know that we're going to decide when the work session, maybe at the end of August, decide when we'll have a work session.
Okay, so we won't be seeing another ordinance then, I guess, on this. Okay.
Not that the mayor didn't say that he'd be revising it and bringing it back. But as far as the work sessions, any council member can ask for work sessions. But as Councilmember Rizzuto just said, maybe we should be looking at it after September, after everybody's back from vacations.
Okay, so that's fine with me, just as long as we don't have anything coming our way before then.
Mr. Mayor, have you sworn in Lisa yet?
No, I'll invite her and she come to.
Would you like to introduce her to?
Yes, she come up.
Lisa, could you step up?
Yeah. So you've spoken before, and I don't have the thing, but the document tonight. But if you can stop by, thank you so much for volunteering. So it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 26th, executive session minutes of June 26th, and the regular meeting minutes of June 10th?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Comment.
Yep.
On the meeting of July 10th, I was just paging through, The reason why I bring it up is because there was an issue that was brought up. Page 2 of 10, July 10, 2017, council minutes. At that time, it was brought up from the audience that I recall we had asked about the appraisal cost for the Faline building. And this had been addressed by, I believe, Mrs. Rinker. And also the cost that the anticipated sale price of the building had been mentioned, about $90,000. I know that it's difficult to take a word-for-word minutes of what goes on, but that minutes should generally reflect what happened in somewhat of its totality. I think that something like this should have been entered into it. And I know that we have the tapes for each of the meeting and we can go back, but just I felt that I needed to bring this up. I mean, there were other comments made of a personal nature, which I won't bother going into, but I do feel that these particular comments should have been included because they were important. I mean, we're still waiting for what's going to happen with the Faline building. Is there an appraisal going to take place? Is there, what's going on with it, or is it just going to lay fallow again? So, with that addition, I would ask for the revision on the minutes.
Or are you going to ask for your comments to be in these minutes also?
Yes.
So then why can't just your comment be in these minutes?
Because it doesn't reflect what happened on July 10th.
There's a lot that doesn't reflect in a lot of minutes of what happened.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe at that particular meeting that there were comments relative to you calling members of the community for sales, potential purchases on the Faline building.
That's all hearsay, and actually, what
No,
if you go back to the?
it's not hearsay.
Actually, if you
You
go back to
mentioned that
if you go back to the ordinance, what the mayor wanted to do was put out a starting bid of $90,000.
You made a statement that it was hearsay. I'm telling you.
I'm saying the comment from the public.
No, if you
Go
go
ahead.
to the tape.
If you'd like to, go ahead, vote.
Specifically stated
Take a roll call whether or not the council minutes should be adjusted.
Well, he's asking to add something to the
And
minutes.
I just said that.
Okay.
That's what I just said.
Our vote is to add things to the minutes?
To adjust the minutes.
To what he wants in them?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rizzuto. Can I have a second?
Second?
No,
I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Can I have a vote? Councilmember Kadesh?
No.
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember?
No.
Council President Marino?
No.
So you're saying it didn't happen?
No, I'm just saying no to your request.
I have a motion on the floor for the approval of minutes from June 26th, executive session June 26th, regular meeting minutes July 10th. Moved by Kadesh, seconded by Councilmember Ooms. Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Ooms?
Well, I'd like to see whatever he wanted to be put in there. But we voted that down, so I guess I have to approve it. Yes.
Okay, yes.
What I
Councilmember
asked was-
Rizzuto?
No.
No. Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve minutes.
Items for discussion.
Excuse me, did Mrs. Ohms vote yes?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Items for discussion. The 2% cap on interest arbitration awards is expiring. However, the township still must abide by the 2% cap on the budget. This resolution requests the legislator extend the 2% cap. Is this anything of interest that the council would like to add to the next agenda?
Yes.
Yes, consensus? Yes, so we'll,
Okay, so I'll add this to the next agenda for August 28th.
thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that the consent agenda be en masse from 17-152 through 17-161.
Actually, another council member request. So actually, 162 through 166 will be separate, so I'll
Right.
read. Resolution 17-152, resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $4,707,000 bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. Ordinance 1516, 1615, 1618, 1709 authorized debt for various projects, and the use of bands. This resolution does not incur new debt, but rolls over the existing debt. Resolution 17-153, resolution authorizing the issuance not exceeding $80,000 special emergency notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. Ordinance 1114, authorize the use of bands for the tax map preparation. This resolution does not incur new debt, but rolls over the existing debt. Resolution 17-154, 2017 salaries for non-union employees. Ordinance 1711, adjusted the salary range for various positions. This provides a 2% increase for those positions and establishes a salary for the part OEM coordinator, co-coordinator. Resolution 17-155 and 17-156, fireworks for various events throughout the township. 17-155 authorizes fireworks on August 19th at 2 Chamnick's Drive within the Township of Vernon. Resolution 1756 authorizes fireworks to be displayed on September 24th, 30th, and October 21st within the Township of Vernon. Resolution 17-157, resolution accepting the completion of the sewer connection to municipal building. The township has completed construction of the sewer connection. This resolution accepts the completed work. Totally disabled veterans under the statute are not required to pay taxes. Resolution 17-158 and 17-159 authorize a refund for taxes paid and cancels future taxes for Mr. Doyle. Refund for total disabled veteran Doyle, and then the other one is also for Mr. Doyle. Resolution 17-160, a resolution authorizing the execution of drainage easement modification for Block 182, lots 12.01 and 12.02. An unspecified drainage easement for Drew and Sand Hill Roads had been created in 2007. This resolution modifies the drainage easement in accordance with the requirements to sell the development rights to the State Agriculture Development Committee. Resolution 17-161, resolution authorizing Township Council to reject all bids for the Vernon No Net Loss Reforestation Project. The Township bid out the tree planting for the No Net Loss grant on July 27, 2017. This rejects the bids as they were all too high. May I have a motion for resolutions 17-152 through 17-161?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Keating?
Yes.
Councilmember Ullman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Quick question on the bands. That is all refi money, that's not new money.
The 1709 is the ban from the bond ordinance from this year.
Yeah.
So we're taking a portion of that amount as well as rollovers from the other ones. So there's $2,048,000 from this year. The rest is all rollovers from previous years. And we're not taking the full amount because we didn't order the fire truck yet. So we're not going to take out that money until we know when that's coming in, and if we got the grant or not.
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 17-152 to 17.
May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 17-162? Well, let me read it first. Resolution 17-162, resolution authorizing Township Council to grant permission to allow vending at all Vernon Maple Grange Park by Vernon Youth Football for 2017 season. Pursuant to a request from Vernon Youth Football, this allows a food truck to serve food at their various games for fundraising purposes. May I have a motion to adopt?
A food trailer,
Okay.
not a truck.
May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 17-162?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I will probably vote for this, but I think it's a duplication of an incorrect and uncreative approach to the problem. I really think that we should go ahead and put an oven in that facility, and if we need a little shuttle bus to go up and back and forth to that wonderful cafeteria that we bought and built, then we should do that. I think this is the wrong answer, but I'm willing to go for it for 1 year. I think we should farm out that facility and have a restaurant or someone supply it in a daily method from, say, June to September, and serve good food there.
Is that it? Are there any other comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes?
Councilmember Ohms?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.